The A to Z of Lancashire.
BBC Radio Lancashire.
So we've reached letter V this week, and we've had a lot of things, haven't we? Today, it's all about the Vikings. So it's been well documented that there were Vikings in Lancashire, and a blood testing study undertaken over a decade ago proved this. Ormskirk and Heysham in Lancashire have strong Viking links, and every year there are Viking festivals across the UK where Viking reenactors meet in their hordes to teach people what the Viking legacy was all about. Before we speak to Snorri, a Viking reenactor, let's hear more from Maria Felix Vas on Vikings and their West Lancashire roots in particular.
Between the 8th and the 12th century, the Vikings had pretty much the free run of Europe. Trading with some places, raiding, pillaging and settling in others, the Vikings certainly made their mark on the UK. Many place names we know today come from the Vikings language, and Yorkshire in particular is very proud of its heritage. But Lancashire also has strong links with the Vikings, and a genetic study published just over a decade ago now discovered that half of the DNA from men from old families with surnames present in the area prior to 1600 was Norse in origin. The research was carried out by a professor at Nottingham University, Stephen Harding, with colleagues from the University of Leicester and University College London, as a continuation of what began for a BBC Two series back in 2001, Blood of the Vikings. Harding and colleagues have since documented their findings in scientific papers and in books, including Viking DNA, the Wirral and West Lancashire Project, In Search of Vikings, and Science and the Vikings. A recent follow-up study published late last year appears to have confirmed those findings. According to historians and the internet, Vikings coming to England all began around 902, when they were thrown out of Ireland and crossed the Irish Sea from Dublin to settle in the northwest. But Vikings were far more than simply ferocious fighters who loved to cause chaos. They developed their own laws and system of government to organise their communities. These ended up being thriving across the area, especially in West Lancashire, where their legacy survives most prominently in place names derived from Viking language like Ormskirk, Skelmersdale and Scaresbrick. Historians long believed they settled there, but the DNA study carried out by Harding and his team suggested their impact was far greater than previously thought. It showed a surprisingly strong genetic link between Lancastrians and people from the Scandinavian lands the Vikings came from, with 51% of the DNA mixture being Norse. It fits with all the place name evidence and major archaeological finds such as Curedale near Preston in the 19th century, and very recently at Silverdale near Wharton, North Lancashire. And as far as Professor Harding goes, he's since been awarded a rare honour for his research when he was made a Knight of the First Class of the Royal Norwegian Order of Merit by the King of Norway back in 2012, something that the Vikings there and here, I'm sure, would be proud of.
How fascinating is that? Maria there with a potted history of Vikings and their links to Lancashire, thanks to Professor Steve Harding for helping her with that research piece there. Well, joining us now is reenactor Ian Uzzell, also known as Snorri the Viking from the Altring Emil troupe of the Regia Anglorum. Snorri, welcome to the programme. Should I be greeting you with a Viking cry or a grunt?
A grunt will do fine.
But do you know? I don't even know how to do. Is it? All right.
Yes.
Right. I wouldn't have known. So thank you very much for your help.
Yeah.
So
my Viking name is actually Snorri.
Snorri. Okay. And
yes.
All right. I called you Sorry, didn't I? Snorri.
Yes.
Okay.
Snorri.
So go on. What's it like, Snorri, then, being a reenactor?
It's great fun. I've been doing it now for 30 years. And we learn a lot about the Vikings. I didn't know much when I joined, but
right.
The society does an awful lot of research, and you learn from everybody else that's doing it. They all have their own little specialities. Some are warriors and concentrate on the fighting and the war regalia, all the armour, the weapons and everything else. Others do living history, which they look at the everyday things that people did in their home. So we have reenactors right from, I think the earliest I can recollect is about 3 weeks old.
Right.
Well, I'm amongst the oldest now at 78, 77.
Wow. So why did you want to join up? Why did you want to do it?
My wife made me.
Blame it on the wife.
Yes, my wife and daughter wanted to join after seeing a show that Regia had done.
Yeah.
And my wife wanted to join, but she couldn't drive. So she said that I had to join so that I could drive her to the shows. So I started and we went to our first shows and it just caught on. And I learnt to fight.
Yeah.
And we fight with initially with a spear and a shield, and then we go on to other weapons. And I had to learn and pass tests. I'd spent 34 years as a Royal Marine Commando, and I wasn't qualified to go onto the battlefield until I'd trained properly on the Viking weapons.
Right. Okay. Wow. I know a couple of years ago when I went for a walk, this is way like pre-COVID time, we went for a walk around Rivington, and when we parked up, there was other cars that just descended on the car park, and out came everyone, groups and groups, dressed up, in full costume and props. Do you have to be really, really accurate when you dress up?
We have to be as accurate as possible. We do a lot of research in the society. We post it on our website. We get in touch with everybody else. But when we go to do a show, everybody is inspected by our authenticity team to make sure that what we are doing is as accurate as we can do it. We don't know everything. There's a lot of grey areas, but we have to do everything as best we can so that what we are showing the public is accurate.
What fascinates people about Vikings, would you say?
About their lifestyle, and also, to some people, they want to just come and watch the fights that we do. Other people want to see how we cook, what we cook, how we make our clothes, how we dye the wool, where we get the stuff to dye the wool with.
Right.
And everything like that, woodwork, making things, because we have this on display on our, what we call our wicks. That's where we have our tents. And so we have everything we can to show them as accurately as we know how people lived in those times.
When you're reenacting, do you just go off into a different world, and when you kind of finish, you're back to being Ian again?
Yes, quite honestly, I do. When I get dressed into my clothes, I become Snorri the Viking, and I'm a high-class Viking, so I tend to act that part. And in the way I behave, react, I am Snorri. And then when I go back home, I'm different. Mind you, a lot of people only ever know me as Snorri.
Time's against us, but before you go, obviously with the pandemic, it's put a stop to any Viking historical reenactments, hasn't it? I mean, are you looking forward to when you can start again? And, when's the next big Viking festival?
Well, the next one should have been next month, which is York, the Jorvik Viking Festival. We've been doing that for well over 35 years, and this has been the first year we've not done it at all. And that was always the start of our year. And so we just don't know when our next one is going to be. We just have to wait until the government says that we can go out and mix and do things like that. So we are taking lockdown seriously.
Absolutely.
But we do things online, and we have, which is not very Viking, I must admit, but we do.
Do you still dress up then when you're online and go into full Snorri mode?
No, although I did to go out and clap to the NHS in the spring.
Yeah, right.
I went out to my house in full kit.
Oh, brilliant. Well, do you know something? It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, Snorri. Thank you very much. That's Snorri the Viking talking to me on BBC Radio Lancashire.